Hey everyone, welcome to Strange Stories, where we explore near-death experiences and supernatural stories from people who've had a glimpse of the other side. If you enjoy our content, please consider liking the video and subscribing to our channel. Without further ado, let's get to the story of the day. Story number 1. It was the evening following my grandmother's funeral. I was already in a state of distress and depression. I tried to track down this guy I'd been seeing, hoping that some company might make me feel better. I went home after failing to phone my best friend. I told her how I was feeling, and we decided that going to her house and getting wasted was the best thing for me to do right then. She had acquired a 6-pack of hard lemonade by the time I traveled the 20-something miles to her house. We also decided to use up the last of our cannabis stockpile. We carried the drinks and pot to my car, which was parked in front of her house. We had no intention of traveling anywhere, but we didn't want to stink up the room and attract the attention of her parents. When I took my first sip of the drink, I knew something wasn't right. My heart began to beat irregularly, and I became dizzy. I disregarded it as adrenaline or nervousness or something, and we went on. I had just taken a couple of hits from the pipe and was on my second beer when everything started. I had never felt anything like it. I couldn't even move. I felt weighed down. I was having difficulty breathing and taking deep breaths. Then I heard a booming voice telling me to put the drink down and stop drinking. I was taken aback. The voice was strong and aggressive. I paused to listen and set the cup down. I suddenly felt a window at the back of my head open and air began to stream through it. I began to feel myself falling, despite the fact that my friend afterwards confirmed that I was completely still. The voice could still be heard. She was assuring me that everything would be fine, that I was safe, and that I didn't need to be afraid. Even though I was afraid of what was happening, I felt extremely peaceful. I had lost all control. I was unable to move. I tried to concentrate on something to keep me here, but I kept falling. My heart stopped beating and my body went numb and cold. Everything became dark and I found myself plunging through a tunnel. It appeared to be a highly futuristic, like something out of Star Wars, with lights racing past me at warp speeds. I could see images at the end of the tunnel, but they were all too blurry to recognize. They appeared to be far away, but no matter how far I felt, they never got close enough for me to see them. The voice was still assuring me that everything would be fine. I was practically thrown back into reality after being startled back into it. My friend shook me and asked me what had happened. I replied that I didn't know. The voice urged me to tell my friend to seek help if it happened again. She was terrified, but I was remarkably calm. The voice instructed me to inform my companion to begin writing down what was happening. I told her to get a notebook from my backseat. I soon began to see a street with automobiles driving down it. It was in the city, and huge buildings lined the right side. The automobiles, trucks, and vans were all white. They were all moving pretty quickly. Every intersection had a green light with a red arrow indicating a left turn. I then noticed a dark automobile with a dark figure standing at the passenger window, as if conversing with someone inside. The figure entered the vehicle. I was terrified of this image, the car and the man for some reason. The speaker then warned me to avoid the dark automobiles and persons. The images ceased. I decided to try to communicate with this voice. I inquired as to her identity. She said she couldn't answer me, but that I would figure it out on my own. Then I gazed up at the sky and saw a smiling woman with wavy golden hair. Underneath her were golden wheat stalks. She was radiant, exuding beauty, calm, and love. I had the impression she knew everything, from the past to the future. I decided to ask her a dumb, insignificant question that only a teenager could think of at this time. What was going to happen between me and the guy I'm seeing? She chuckled softly and said that she too couldn't tell me, but that I had a gift and that if I learned to use it, I'd know. This present piqued my interest. I inquired as to the nature of the present. She told me that I was born with a power and that it was time for me to learn how to use it because I was sent to deliver a message. She told me I was unique. I was here for a reason. I was stunning and powerful. Everything was lovely, including life. Everything had a purpose and a reason. From the minute I was born, everything was happening for a reason. Everything, from the people I met to the sites I visited, was incredible. I've always thought of myself as a little psychic, but I've always been suspicious. Now I see it was all true. It was within me and greater than I could have dreamed. All I needed to do was learn how to use it. The woman said it was starting right now. She told me to tell my friend to start writing down everything that came out of my lips, as well as everything she was seeing, feeling, and experiencing. My acquaintance was planning to write a book, according to the voice. That is why she was present. That is why we were pals on this planet. My friend was perplexed, but she obeyed. I felt as if I were in a trance-like state. I started talking. I could hear my own voice, but wasn't aware of what I was saying. I gradually began to feel like I had command over my body. The woman's presence seemed to fade away. I burst out laughing, not out of fear, but out of excitement, confusion, and helplessness. We both had a goal. Someone genuinely cared about and loved me. These were wonderful notions for me, as someone who was raised an agnostic, but eventually became interested in certain aspects of paganism. I've never believed in God, but I've always had the feeling that there is some type of higher power there. I now understand that there's something larger out there. I've never wanted to attend to church, but it's now appealing to me. I feel different, transformed, and more accepting of myself and others. I no longer yell at those who drive slower than the speed limit. I'm more tolerant of others, including my sister. I'm more at ease with my body, which is quite welcome after battling eating problems for 5 years. I'm more relaxed and try not to rush through things. I'm not sure if these adjustments will stick, but I hope they do. I'm not sure what occurred to me that night. I'm not sure if any of it is true. I read what I had spoken to my friend later once things had settled down. It was stunning. It was like a message, almost like a scripture. It was about life. Not just mine, but everyone else's as well. I feel obligated to tell everyone I see about it. It is significant to me. I'm not sure if it's worth noting, but I observed that my psychic awareness was expanding approximately 3 weeks before everything happened. I'd have a hunch that I'd see someone and turn around to discover them, or I'd hear entire conversations before anyone finished a sentence. I also had a feeling something bad was going to happen to this particular individual, and it happened. This has been a very wonderful experience for me, one from which I've learned a lot, and from which I still have a lot to learn. Story number 2. Narrative of my experience. I was in the recovery room following arthroscopy and sinus surgery, just beginning to wake up from the anesthetic. Apparently, the nurses were not aware that I had asthma, and they were not paying close attention. No one realized I was having an asthma attack. As I was waking up, I realized I couldn't breathe. I was in excruciating physical pain and couldn't take full breath, and it got worse and worse until I couldn't take a breath at all. My lungs were burning. My entire body was chilly, and later they stated I had become cold and blue by the time the nurses saw me, and I was in pain all over. I was panicking on the inside. My mind was racing. I tried to shake it, but I couldn't move or breathe. Then I felt myself slip away. There was no tunnel, and there was no out-of-body experience. I had simply vanished from my body. I realized the part of me that is genuinely me had left and was no longer in that recovery room. I was in a location of pure light, as if a warm, peaceful, loving fog had encircled and contained all the beauty, strength, and security in the world and beyond. All of my agony and trauma vanished. I couldn't remember what pain, misery, wrath, jealousy, or anything else terrible felt like here as I tried to recall where I'd just been. There was a faint hint of what horrible things felt like that I couldn't quite recall. The light fog began to lift, and I realized I was in the company of 3 light entities. They appeared to be humanoid figures made entirely of bright light. Everything was formed of light, even the background. There was a horizon and a ground, but they were actually just different hues of light, and I too was made of light. 3 light beings appeared in front of me and welcomed me to this planet. One was larger and stronger than the other 2. He didn't say anything at the time, but afterwards I recognized him as Jesus. They did not greet me with conscious speech as much as they did with love. Love like I've never known. The most outstanding love. It was total acceptance, total compassion, and total love. Love without fear, negativity, or deception. In fact, I knew that the entire place was formed of love, the most powerful force in the universe. I didn't feel like a wholly independent creature anymore, as I'm now typing at this computer. Yes, I sensed my consciousness separate from the other entities, but I also felt a part of them in this luminous realm. The 3 entities drew closer and surrounded me, still smitten by me. They cautioned me, though, that I was going to witness things I couldn't see in the real world. I must have begged to learn or shown interest in some way. I'm not sure, but they said they would show me, and it would be difficult, but they would be there. They informed me that I would look back on my life and realize what I had done, but that it would be special, and I was completely content. Sure, I said, feeling so powerful in the light, so flawless and pure. I was alone again before I realized it. I was my adult self as I am now, but I'd been watching, even living my life since I was a child. I was there and felt everything, but I was still myself. It was almost as if I were seeing an extremely complicated hologram that told me the tale of my life, but I was also watching from a third-person perspective. I wasn't expecting what happened next. Everything was felt by me. I could feel my pain all over again, all the loneliness, terror, and sorrow I'd known, as well as the love. Everything I'd ever done, or felt, or had been done to me was relived in that spot. I felt it all, and I was fine, still enjoying the brightness I just discovered, until I started feeling other people's feelings. I was now sensing other people's emotions as though they were my own. When I wounded someone, I felt their pain as if it were my own. Every time I brought someone joy, I felt it as if it were my own. I got to observe how those folks in turn either transmit the wonderful feeling to someone else or hurt someone with the misery I'd caused them. Then I felt their anguish. I was completely overwhelmed. I began to falter. Even the brightness I had within me couldn't stand up to this onslaught of anguish. I recall crying out. I asked for assistance. Please, God, grant me your strength. That was all that was required. The most powerful light being that had welcomed me to that realm was by my side, filling me with his love and strength, restoring my wholeness. Then I could go on. I saw the reminder of my life and how everything I did touched everyone with that light by my side. Until I came in this lovely location, that is. Despite this, I had the most strong light being by my side. He had guided me through the rest of it. Then he said something to me that I didn't remember till much later. He stated that they would show me more of my life. I'd need to see some things right now. I agreed totally, feeling powerful in the light again. So my life went into the future while I watched again. Not just once, but numerous times, and all of this at the same time. It's difficult to believe now, but I was shown several alternative futures all at once. Years into the future, to the end of my life and beyond. I was shown. I apologize if this sounds crazy. So far, no one I've spoken with about this has understood, so I'm hoping you will. Again, I apologize for any confusion. Please, be patient with me.